Hello and welcome. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the flat earth, as I think I've got a pretty simple and very easy to understand thought experiment that anyone can do in order to disprove the flat earth model. I want to start, however, by just giving a little bit of background to the ideas that underpin what I'm talking about. The idea of disproving something rather than looking for confirmation bias is very important, and this is one of the things that separates science from other thoughts or modes of thinking. It's a critical analysis where you set out to disprove an idea or theory or hypothesis rather than to prove it. And this is important and is a very good example of why. If you imagine that I had a theory that every swan was white, how many white swans would you need to find to prove your theory? I mean, in reality, you would have to find every swan in order to verify that none of them were not white. But how many swans would you have to find that weren't white in order to disprove the theory? Just one. Just one non-white swan would disprove the entire theory. And this leads me into my discussion of the flat earth model. Because you only need one disproof to disprove the theory. The easiest way to do this is with observations that anyone or almost anyone can make. And this is again is one of the fundamental principles of science, is that you have to be able to observe in some form, test and disprove what you're trying to assert as true. Now, I've made an animation to try and make this thought experiment even easier for people to understand, as I know some flat earthers don't have a lot of patience for that. As you can see, I've made a pretty simple 3D animation just to try and help visualize what it is that the flat earth model is actually asserting. So any group has differences or variations in what they believe, but this seems to me to be pretty ubiquitous amongst the belief system of flat earthers. I've personally never encountered a video or a comment or an article on the internet that says that something other than this is what's happening. The sphere rotating from east to west around the flat earth is a representation of the night sky. And for the purpose of this video, all that really represents is the direction in which the sky moves. Now, if you were in the northern hemisphere and looking north, you would see all of the night sky rotating from east to west around Polaris, otherwise known as the North Star. And this is consistent with the observations that we make from the northern hemisphere, so no problems there. However, we do come into some problems when we start to look south. In the flat earth model, looking south from anywhere on the planet, you should see the same thing, more or less. The night sky rotating from east to west around you. But let's for a moment consider the southern hemisphere. Or on the flat earth model, this is anyone south of the equator. Now, if you look south from any point on the southern hemisphere, do you see stars traveling across the sky in a straight line from east to west? Because this is, in fact, a prediction of this model. The flat earth model makes this prediction. It says the night sky rotates around the North Star, and thus all of the other stars move from east to west around it. Well, if that were to be the case, when we look up from the southern hemisphere, we should expect to see exactly that. But we do not. And therein lies the disproof that this model cannot be correct. It's also worth noting that the observations that we make in the southern hemisphere are completely congruent with the globe Earth model. That is exactly what you would expect to see if the Earth were to be a globe. In fact, there aren't many configurations for the planet that would actually allow for you to make these observations. Now, if you are a flat earther, just let this sink in for a minute before instantly dismissing it, if you will. Although you've probably been researching, in quotation marks, this topic on YouTube for the last 6 to 12 months and feel very well educated on the subject, I think I have actually just disproven the entire model in less than 5 minutes. So you don't need that much time in order to critically think about and evaluate something in order to come to a justifiable and rational conclusion. If, however, this isn't the model that you believe in, then obviously I haven't disproven it. But I would also really like to hear what your model is, because you'd still have to explain the observations that we're making. And just to recap on those observations, when you are north of the equator and you are looking north, you see the sky rotating around a single point. And if you are south of the equator and you are looking south, you see the sky rotating around a different point and you see a different sky. This is only explained by a globe Earth. Thank you for listening and watching.